Praise the Lord, everyone. This screen looks horrible on my end, so I don't know how it look on your end. Let's see. See if I can scoot you back some or something. Anyway, I'm just gonna talk. How about that? Sorry, this is a bad line. The view is horrible, at least on my end, anyway. So anyway, praise the Lord. Thank you for being here. Please click like and subscribe. Let's see. I am 56 years old. I was married a total of 32 years straight, basically, legally on paper, so between two different husbands. So I first got married, in 1989? Yeah, 1989. And I was legally divorced in 2021 or 22, one or the other. I don't know. I'm not sure what the official divorce date is. I'm not sure. But at the end of the day, I put in 32 years of marriage. And some people will say, well, you failed, so you have no right to speak on marriage. And okay, well, I mean, I can agree to that to some extent. But I also believe that those 32 years, a lot was learned, a lot was achieved, a lot is accomplished in 32 years. Just like on any job, you know. If you put in 32 years on a job, shoot, you're gonna leave with a pension, 401k, know, you set for the rest of your life. Legal marriage is not like that though. It's not the same. So with that being said, um, how I can compare my situation to a successful situation. My grandmother, she was married to my grandfather until he passed away. And she lived off of his retirement for 30 something years until she passed away. You know what I'm saying? So he worked for 30 some years for the big three. He retired, got to enjoy his retirement for a few years. He passed away. But my granny, she was a stay at home wife and mom, and she got to live off of those benefits independently. Never had to remarry or anything, didn't even date nobody that we were aware of or anything. She was just going to church for 30 some years, all for those benefits until she passed away. So that's how I can compare my 30 some years to what people consider successful. Now, I did get, yeah, I got something out of my 32 years. You know, I didn't walk away with nothing. Praise the Lord. Who should? No one should. Male or female, whether you're the husband or the wife. I'm just speaking from the wife. So, but at the end of the day, I can compare that. And then, I was raised by a mom who is the perfect medium. I mean, she earned her own pension, you know, earned her own independence and still was married. So, I got to watch it and experience it on a large scale here. So that's why I think that even though my marriages didn't last, my 32 years still means something. I can still speak on it. Hello. Hello. I see I have some visitors. Thank you for being here. Please click like, subscribe, and hit the notification. All right. So nowadays, marriage laws have changed, okay? Whether good or bad, is irrelevant. Whether good or bad, that's irrelevant. At the end of the day, they changed. We caught up. We have not caught up as a society to the magnitude of the changes of the law. Before we could even embrace, the same sex marriage laws, I'll just call it the Obama gay law, before we could even embrace the Obama gay law, we have lawsuits out here, lawsuits where men are suing other men for sexual harassment and things like that. Wow, you know, which I think is not like a bad thing or anything. That's not a bad thing. But it's just that I don't think we were prepared for this. I'm saying? We were not prepared for this, even though the law has been around for a while. Male on male abuse is on the rise. You know what I mean? And maybe it's not even on the rise, it's just being revealed. Male on male abuse, intimate, romantic abuse. Sometimes men don't understand women until it happened to them. My Thanksgiving was wonderful. It was wonderful. Thank you so much. I got to spend it with family and stuff, you know. So that's always a blessing. And thank the Lord for grandchildren. Because of my grandchildren, I have family because of my grandchildren. So thank the Lord for that. But so because the laws have changed so much, and because, you know, the way people think and feel have changed so much over the decade. I put in 3 decades of marriage. So I have a lot of, you know, research, I guess you could say. A lot of experience research to pull from. And so just based on what I've experienced, when it comes to legal marriage, whether you are male or female, whether a man or a woman, it just, everything is kind of, leveled out a little bit. Not enough, not enough, but we're working on it. Um, because of the divorce rates, okay, because of the divorce rate, do not enter marriage unless off the rip from the beginning you can afford to get out of it. If you can't afford to get out of it, don't even play that game. Don't play that game. And so some people will say, well, I don't get married to play games. I marry for love. Oh, I'm a beautiful black queen. Oh my God. Well, good morning. Thank you. Thank you. So, based on current marriage laws, based on the divorce rate, no one can afford legally to marry for love alone. Love alone is not a reason to get married. It's just not. No one, male or female, in this climate that we live in can afford to get married on love alone. It takes more than love alone to be married. So if you can't afford to get out of it, as soon as you get into it, leave it alone. Leave it alone. And people will say, "Well, I'm pregnant." We're talking the law here. We're talking the law here. Don't use pregnancies as an excuse, as a reason, as temptation to get caught up in the law. Once you do that, then that's when abortion is an option. Think about it. When the law is involved, you have all these options. So no matter who you are, if you can't afford to get out of any contract on day one, then you don't need it. You can't afford it. Don't even commit. And what I mean by afford it, by now, most of us know that it is rare to meet someone and you just be so in love and treat each other right until the day you die. I mean, like you can count on one hand how many bad things happen. And when those bad things happen, it had nothing to do with either one of you. And you guys just live this way for 50, 60, 70 years until you pass on. That's just rare. I'm not saying it don't happen. And I'm not hating on those who live that peaceful. You know, it's just not the norm. So the rest of us need to be prepared for what real marriage really brings. Don't get married if you can't afford to be cheated on. If you know off the rip, the moment someone cheat on you, you out the door, don't get married. Don't do it. It's too expensive. Marriage is too expensive if you're that sensitive. Because again, it's rare to get through any marriage, you know, where it's just so peaceful. No temptations, no problems outside of yourselves. Everything is just smooth, other than like leaving the toilet seat up or, her nagging on occasion. Other than that, you just go through 50, 60, 70 years of just bliss and joy. Now, can it happen? It probably can. I will never know, but it probably can. But I'm talking to the rest of the world where before you even can say I do, before you can even say I do, your spouse, whether male or female, has already slept with your cousin, already slept with the neighbor, you know, made a business deal behind your back, you know, or like you say I do, and like within a month, your bank account is wiped out. You know what I'm saying? Real marriage issues. We're taught as soon as something like this happens, run. Don't ever get married. If you cannot afford the risk of being cheated on, you know, the bank account wiped out, you know, the kids almost getting kicked out of school, all kind of crazy stuff. Living over here one minute, living over here the next. If you can't take some heat, don't even don't do it. Don't do it. That's what I mean by afford it. By the logic, you should never be with anybody. Can you show your your younger? Well, I put in 32 years. I put in 32 years. In that last relationship, he left. He divorced, snuck off and married somebody else. So yeah, people can endure the crazy. Some people can endure the crazy. That's what most people who make it are doing, enduring a bunch of crazy stuff in the name of family, in the name of generations. How else do we continue if we don't endure whatever needs to be endured? If we don't stick around for something? I'm not saying it's a matter of right or wrong. I'm not saying that. I'm saying don't get legally married if you can't afford the real cost. I mean, if you're gonna just divorce at the first sign of trouble, and real marriage trouble are those. Those are marriage troubles. People make it seem like, leaving a toilet seat up is a problem. That's no, that can happen without being legally married. You could just grow up in a regular family with a father and brothers, and the toilet seat can be left up. You don't have to be legally married to experience a toilet seat being left up. No, I'm just being real. Like I said, some of you have perfect marriages, and that's great. That's great. But everybody else is getting cheated on. And I'm talking like with cousins and friends and, you know, experience and all kind of stuff. And people don't want to talk about what it really takes to endure real marriage. When I say real marriage, the one that's most common, it is not common to be flawless in a marriage where your greatest problem is a toilet seat being left up. That is not common. What is common is being cheated on, money being blown. You know what I'm saying? Job losses, losing home, kids almost being taken. You know what I mean? Those are the more common issues. That's why divorce rates and stuff are high. I'm just saying. So if you know you're the kind of person At the first sign of being cheated on, basically robbed, almost left for dead, all this kind of stuff, you and your kid being drugged through the mud, whether you're a man or a woman, there are men who go through hell with their wives, and they do the best they can to protect their kids. There are men, there are women who go through the same thing, of course. So there's a question that says, if it's common being cheated on in a marriage, why isn't it the majority of the reason for divorce? Um, Being cheated on in the marriage, that's a whole different topic because then you have to talk about what is cheating. What is cheating? Because some people are consenting, they consent to multiple relationships, and there are titles for this type of consent. So, you know, um, and then usually the money problems in divorce. What is the number one reason for divorce? Is it money? Money, infidelity? I mean, it's up there. Like the top three is what, like money, cheating, you know. And then a lot of people just marry because that's just who's there at the time. Right. If it's consented, it's not cheating. Correct. Correct. So yeah, that's what I meant by okay, then once we use the word cheating, then we got to start breaking it down. You know what I mean? There is consent. And so we're not talking about that, you know. That's consensual multiple partners, you know. So I'm all for that. The cheating, that is hurtful. That is where usually money come in because to cheat cost. I mean, you know, to have another woman or another man on the side, it usually costs somebody something, something. It's expensive, you know. It costs emotions. It costs time. Whenever you're sneaking off to be with somebody else, you're taking all of that energy, all of that away from me, possibly, or even yourself. If you would give that time to yourself, then you'll be more energetic, more ready, even for me. But, you know, that's a whole nother topic. Yes, absolutely. But I'm just saying, look at how marriage is today. Look at how marriage is today. How wide open the range is, how high the divorce rate is, how frequent divorces are. People are on their second, third, fourth, fifth marriages in the climate that we live in. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, based on my experience, don't enter if you can't afford to exit fast. Like, for example, if you know right now today as a single person, the first time somebody cheat on you, you're out. You already know, oh, I'm gone. It don't matter if you're nine, months pregnant. You're out. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter if you have no financial independence of your own. You're out. The only way you could even afford to divorce in that situation is if legal aid help you. That's an example of you can't even afford to get married in the first place. Don't even try. That's just an example. It's an extreme one, but it just goes to show that if you don't even have the money to get out of a potential bad situation, don't even enter in. Divorces cost about, let's say on average 10, $20,000 for just regular working class people. Regular working class people. We're not even talking rich people. Not even rich people. Just regular people. Unless legal aid is paying for it or helping you or, some lawyer give you a steep discount, it costs about $10,000 to even get a divorce. So if you don't have $10,000 extra laying around in case of a divorce before you even get married, then why do it? Why do it? Especially if you're gonna divorce as soon as you get cheated on, as soon as anything bad happens, above and beyond, nagging, toilet seats, you know, babies crying all night and you can't get enough sleep, you know, things above that, don't do it. Seriously, don't do it. Marriage and divorce go hand in hand. You got to be ready. Or if you can't afford for your spouse to die, don't get married if you can't afford for your spouse to die. Day one of your marriage, day one, if your spouse was to pass away and you can't make it without him, you can't afford to get married. Again, this is marriage is it's not just love alone. It's not just love alone. The law is involved. Legal marriage. The law is involved. The word legal and law go hand in legal and law. Marriage is no longer just you two and the love you have anymore. So if you can't afford for your partner to die or divorce you, then don't do it. Why enter into something that you're trapped into? Love can, you know, get you far in life, but when the law is involved, love don't get you out. Not love alone. Love alone don't get you out of the law. So don't let love alone get you in. You got to have some money to play the marriage and divorce game. In today's climate, it's probably always been this way, but today is more clear than ever before. So when people say, oh, I would never marry you, I would never marry you, they just trying to use, emotional manipulation. But at the end of the day, what they're really saying is, I really can't afford to get married. I can't afford to get married because of the risk, the cost, what I have to lose. It's more that than anything else. People get married based on the market, and the market is financially driven. It's not just a love motorcycle, it's not. And in this climate, I don't see how anyone can afford to do it without having your legal agreement, prenups, or whatever, right alongside with the certificate. The certificate alone is not enough. You gotta have your law lined up, your prenup, your agreements lined up. Like, for example, you need to know upfront, what is your retirement plan with your employer? What have you purchased? What's already established? What are your medical, you know? You need to know how stable your spouse is independently before you join them. Because once you join them, you may be as legally responsible for their debt as they are. If you don't have a clear understanding of what you're entering into and cover yourself in a prenup upfront. That's one of the things that I learned in my second marriage. In my second marriage, I didn't have I understood he was, an engineer and, I understood all that, but I didn't have all the details, the fine print going in. So once I went in with just a marriage certificate alone, whew, it was like it was warfare. It was warfare because I had to learn really fast what I was losing, what was at stake, what was all at risk. You don't know going in, you learn on the job. And so I learned in the marriage what all was really going on, the warfare that we were really in. And the only thing I could do was make sure that I treat him within the range that I treat myself. That's the only thing that made sense. Because everything was just happening all around us. The moment we were married, it's like everybody, their mom and their daddy, and was attacking the marriage. They were enjoying the marriage, enjoying it, and attacking it at the same time. It was a lot of dirt being thrown at my marriage with hidden hand the whole time, like walking into a dark room. So all I knew was there was a point where it was very clear that I was on my own marriage. People got to, people got to. And so I endured. I endured, and I learned that you gotta know the rules of engagement. And the more you paper up in the beginning, the better, because it becomes a legal guide with the certificate until you either succeed together or you have to tap out. One or the other. So, and no one knows the end until you get there. No one knows. At the beginning, all you can do is hope. That's it. And pray. But yeah, don't enter marriage if you're not financially ready, along with all that love you have. Whether you're male or female. Because today, two males can get married. And, if it doesn't work out, which one's gonna, you know, give up a bag? Now, they're not even legally married yet. Men. And they're just going to court saying, hey, sexual harassment. Well, skip the whole marriage thing. I love how fast men work. been work quick. I love it. I love it. I learn a lot from it. And that's why I'm kind of navigating my life a little better because I'm learning from men. I take a lot of notes. I don't take everything they say. So what they say personally. I mean, if it make me feel some kind of way, fine. But I'm still taking notes like, what are you talking about? What do you really mean? Yeah, he trying to make me feel some way. I get that part, but he's still saying it for a reason. I don't have to agree, but I still want to know what men mean, about what they say. So on my channel, you're gonna see me remix a lot of men's opinions on things, you know. Whether I agree or not is irrelevant. And I think that's how I stayed married for 32 years. Just because I didn't agree with my exes didn't mean I could not respect their thoughts, you know, you know. So I see a comment on here and it says, marriage, less nagging, more gagging. Yeah, that's how I stayed married for 32 years. I didn't have to agree with my exes, but if I wanted to stay married, I gagged, you know. I'm just saying, I mean, I had kids. You have kids, you do what you gotta do. And some women doing what you gotta do is working just as long and hard as the man. And that's fine. I just don't have that kind of energy for the workplace, not for the workplace. No. And then some women, they do what they gotta do within that marriage. They do what they have to do within that marriage. And for me, I just did a lot of gagging. Thank you, Nix. I appreciate good humor. I do. I mean, really, I talk about that. I talk about the fact that, there was a point where my PhD was so irrelevant in the marriage. Having a PhD, being able to, be a financial contributor was just so irrelevant. I just said, you know what? Go for broke. I was number one cheerleader for a reason. I was a sing dancer on TV for a reason. I danced for a famous poet for a reason. I mean? I have so many skills to fall on. So I just decided to endure the marriage and come up with some benefits, one way or another. So yeah, yeah, it is a full-time job. And that's what I did. I was I worked part-time in the kids' school district. I was the kids' substitute teacher. I was my kids' substitute teacher for about 15 years. I was their Girl Scout leader. I was the scrapbook club mom member, all of that. Our neighborhood association president. Anything that had anything to do with my family, I was over that. While my husband was at work making the money, I was running the community. So yeah, it is a full-time job. I agree. And it took every bit of my PhD to keep up with the community. So when he left me for another woman, I just had to make sure I went to court and got, you know, my just due. Again, you have to have balance with the law and with love. You got to balance love and law. So if you love someone who can't afford legal marriage, forget the legal marriage and just be in love and raise your kids. Why put the law on each other when your love can't afford it? All love cannot afford the law. The law ain't no joke, y'all. It will come after your ass like some hot bricks. Your wife is just going, or your girl, or your baby mama, your baby daddy, they just gonna nag a little bit. But the law come after your ass. Shh, you better have some money, whether you're a man or a woman today. I'm just saying. They cut out all the federal shit. So there's not going to be a lot of legal aid out there to help people get out of marriages. Think about that. So anyway, just think about what I said. Click like, subscribe, you know. And if your nagging don't work, girl, just get the gagging. And nowadays, for men too, men can marry men. So men, guess what? When the nagging don't work, get the gagging. It's hard out here for pimps, you know. It's hard out here for pimps. Mhm. Okay, guys, y'all got me acting crazy. All right, thank you all for listening. Click like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I'll be back soon. Bye. Don't get married unless you can afford that shit.